Welcome, everyone. I am absolutely thrilled to guide you through today's deep dive into a true classic. We're unpacking the core ideas from Spencer Johnson's legendary book, Who Moved My Cheese? Now, this isn't just some simple little fable. It's a profound, incredibly practical summary of how we handle those unexpected shifts in life. I absolutely love breaking down concepts like this because the lessons, they're timeless. And together, we're going to map out exactly how to navigate life's inevitable curveballs. Okay, let's dive into this. Ask yourself right now, what would you actually do if your biggest source of happiness, your income, or your sense of security just vanished overnight? Would you freeze up, or would you immediately start looking for a completely new path? Just keep that in the back of your mind as we explore a massive, intricate maze and the four really fascinating characters who live inside it. Part 1, the maze and the cheese. Picture this incredibly cinematic setting, a sprawling, complicated labyrinth. It's totally packed with twists, turns, blind alleys, and hidden rooms. And every single day, 4 distinct characters wake up, strap on their running shoes, and navigate this massive maze searching for their absolute favorite thing in the world: cheese. For them, it's not just a snack. It literally represents everything they need to survive and be happy. So let's meet our searchers. The contrast here is super important. On one side, we have Sniff and Scurry. They're 2 simple mice. They rely on pure instinct and good old trial and error. They don't overthink things, they just act. Simple, right? But on the other side, we've got Hem and Haw. They are little people, literally the size of mice, but with complex human brains. They've got intense emotions, deeply held beliefs, and unfortunately, a bit of an ego. They actually think their superior human intellect makes them naturally better at finding the cheese. Well, one day, after a ton of searching, all 4 of them hit the absolute jackpot. At the end of one of those maze corridors, they find Cheese Station C. I mean, it is packed to the ceiling with every kind of delicious cheese you can imagine. Total dream come true. And very quickly, a daily routine sets in. But here's the kicker, the crucial difference. While the mice keep their running shoes tied around their necks just to be safe, Him and Hall literally throw their shoes away. They move their homes closer. They get way too comfortable, absolutely convinced this supply is going to last forever. Which brings us to part 2, when the cheese disappears. You see, over time, the situation at Cheese Station C starts shifting. Sniff and Scurry, they notice this because they're constantly monitoring the supply every single morning. They see the pile shrinking. They notice it's getting a bit stale. But Hem and Haw are totally blind to these gradual changes. They've grown dangerously complacent. Now, what's really interesting about this writing Hall left on the wall is how it perfectly captures their false sense of permanent security. Having cheese makes you happy. They've completely tied their entire identity and emotional well-being to this one specific room and this one specific pile of cheese. They felt entitled to it, you know? They just stopped paying attention to the real world because they thought they permanently won the game of life. And then, boom, the inevitable happens. The cheese vanishes. Looking at how that day played out is just striking. At 8 a.m., the mice arrive, see an empty room, and, no surprise at all, they expected it. Without wasting a single second overthinking, they throw their running shoes back on and charge right into the unknown maze. But at 10 a.m., Hem and Haw stroll in and are totally shocked. Paralysis sets in. By noon, the mice are already miles into exploring new paths, while the humans just sit there. By 5 p.m., Hem and Haw drag themselves home hungry, depressed, and completely defeated. Section 3, Hem and Haw's resistance. Now, what happens next is something I think we've all been guilty of at some point. Hem throws an absolute tantrum. He's yelling, "Who moved my cheese?" He completely refuses to accept the reality of the empty room. Haw lightly suggests, hey, maybe we should head back into the maze like the mice did, but Hem shuts it down instantly. He's convinced it's way too dangerous out there, and if they just sit tight, whoever took the cheese will eventually put it right back. This sets off an incredibly foolish, kind of heartbreaking routine. Every single day, they march back to the empty Cheese Station C. They even bring tools, hacking away at the walls and the floor, desperately playing the cheese is just buried. They are doing the exact same thing day in and day out, expecting a different result. And finally, while digging yet another pointless hole, Haw just looks at Hema and starts laughing. He suddenly sees the absolute absurdity of what they're doing. Haw has this massive realization that fear is the only thing keeping them locked in this empty room. So he scrawls this turning point question on the wall. What would you do if you weren't afraid? He knows the honest answer. He'd go find new cheese. So he dusts off his running shoes, he begs Hem to come with him, but Hem stubbornly refuses. So Ha steps out into the dark, scary maze totally alone, leaving behind a trail of messages, just hoping his friend will eventually follow. As Ha ventures deeper into the labyrinth, he has a lot of time to reflect on where things went wrong. He leaves another thought on the wall. Smell the cheese often so you know when it is getting old. He realizes that the old station didn't just empty out by magic. It was a slow, gradual process that he totally ignored because he was just too comfortable. It's a massive lesson in the power of paying attention. And as he keeps running, something really surprising happens. Even though he's lost, even though he's starving and hasn't actually found any new food yet, he feels incredibly energized. He writes down, "When you stop being afraid, you feel good." He's experiencing the sheer joy and liberation that comes from just taking action and moving forward, rather than sitting around playing the victim. Eventually, Ha stumbles on a tiny outpost and finds a few scraps of delicious, brand new types of cheese. He is thrilled. He runs all the way back to the old station to share it with Hem, thinking, this is it, this will finally convince him to leave. But, tragically, Hem rejects it outright. He says he doesn't want new cheese, he only wants things exactly the way they used to be. Hem is so paralyzed by his own negative thinking that he'd honestly rather starve than adapt. So, the crucial point is this powerful realization Ha has. When you change what you believe, you change what you do. He finally accepts that he has to let go of Hem. You just can't force someone else to change. So, with a completely transformed mindset, he heads back out into the maze. And because he kept moving, kept exploring, and truly believed there was more out there, he finally turns a corner and discovers Cheese Station N, the biggest, most massive supply of cheese he has ever seen. And guess who's already there? Sniff and Scurry, happily eating away. Part 4. What does the cheese actually represent? Let's pivot from the fable to real life. Because, as the story makes crystal clear, for the mice, it was just literal food. But for us, it's a deep, powerful metaphor. The maze is wherever you spend your time looking for what you want, your workplace, your community, your family dynamics. And this brilliantly illustrates exactly what the cheese is. It's whatever you desperately need to feel secure and joyful. We're talking about your physical health, a steady paycheck, or building wealth. It could be an incredibly important relationship or just your overall peace of mind. Every single one of us has a cheese station C that we desperately want to cling to. Part 5. 5 lessons on change. Look, the reality is the world is always shifting and our cheese is constantly being moved. But Ha's journey, it gives us a precise, actionable blueprint for handling life's unexpected transitions. Let's see how this builds into a chronologically structured approach to managing change. First, you have to accept they are going to move the cheese. So step 1 is to anticipate change. Step 2 is monitor change. You've got to keep smelling the cheese so you actually notice when it's getting stale. Step 3 is adapt quickly. The faster you let go of the old stuff, the sooner you find the new. And step 4 is to literally enjoy the change. Savor the adventure of finding something completely new. So, let's rapid fire through these final takeaways so you can really lock them in and apply them to your career and relationships. Number 1, change happens inevitably. It's a fact. So stop fighting the universe. Number 2, get ready for it. Always keep those running shoes close by. Number 3, keep smelling your cheese. Pay close attention to the subtle shifts happening in your industry, your health, or your relationships. Number 4, let go of the old quickly. Don't sit around in an empty room digging pointless holes. And number 5, savor the new growth. Enjoy it when you find it, but never get so comfortable that you forget lesson number 1. I want to leave you with this final, really provocative thought. Look closely at your life right now. Are you acting like a Sniff and Scurry, or are you acting like a Hem? Where in your career, your relationships, or your personal growth, are you just stubbornly sitting in an empty room, waiting for that old cheese to magically come back? It is time to stop waiting. Dust off those running shoes, step out into the maze, and embrace the adventure. Thank you so much for joining me for this summary, and I really hope you feel fully empowered to go out there and find your new cheese.